The story starts with Pippa, who has moved into their new house for the first time with her boyfriend Thomas. They plan to live together and they both are pretty excited. At night, while having a drink, they notice that the apartment in front of their window is fully visible. Drawing Pippa and Thomas' attention, the neighbors start kissing each other. They continue to look at the couple in love. Pippa asks Thomas to stop looking at them and to respect their privacy. Thomas says that he is just watching outside of his window and the other couple happen to be there doing their business. Later, Pippa dresses up and chooses an attractive nightgown to tempt Thomas for making love in their new home, but discovers that Thomas is asleep and Pippa's effort didn't pay. The following day, Pippa starts a fresh and clean morning in the new neighborhood and goes to work with her close friend, Ari. She asks her about her new life together with Thomas. Pippa explains that last night she saw the next door neighbors having white love in action. Pippa works as an ophthalmologist assistant and is learning to be a doctor. Pippa's senior doctor gives her a gift for moving to a new house and tells her that this gift is for birds that come to drink water. When Pippa returns home, she finds a beautiful drawing of Thomas on the blackboard and is delighted and installs the doctor's gift. They talk about their friendship with their new neighbors. Then they realize something is wrong with their neighbor. Likely is choking. They try to inform his wife about his condition, but she doesn't hear due to the headphones she is using. Pippa asks Thomas to go to their house and to help him, but his wife saves him at the last moment. In the middle of the night, Pippa can't sleep and goes to the kitchen to drink water, but her neighbor gets her attention. Pippa notices that the neighbor's wife is going on a trip and her husband sees her by the window. She is completely lost in the beauty and charm of her neighbor and provokes her, but when he looks at her, the glass of water drops and breaks. The next day, Thomas, whose job is to make music for commercials, while working, his attention is drawn to the house across the street, and he notices that their neighbor, whose job is to take pictures of models, is with one of the models, in the absence of his wife, and it feels very intimate. On the way back home from work, Pippa sees a hunting camera and she buys it. Now, they are more closely investigating this man's behavior in the absence of his wife, and they find out he has invited a girl and wants to take a snapshot of her and gives her a drink. But a little later, he provokes the girl by taking off his clothes, and at the same time, as they are making love, Pippa and Thomas also get busy. But Thomas cannot keep up with his neighbor and finishes way behind. Pippa feels not happy. In the middle of the night, Pippa does not sleep and gets out of bed and continues to sneak peek at her neighbor. The neighbor's wife returns from a trip and goes to his husband. Pippa realizes that they have a deep relationship with each other. The next day, in a meeting with their friends, she explains this incident, and then, among the conversation with Thomas' sister, she realizes that they could extract sound from closed space with a long-range microphone or something. Later at home, they discuss and calculate this, but apparently it doesn't work. But Pippa is very determined and decides to go anonymously with Thomas to the party at their house so they can install a sound-reflecting device. When they enter their neighbor's house, Sebastian, his neighbor, gets Pippa on his shoulder and takes her to a photo shoot stage and asks Thomas to take a photo with her. Sebastian guides them on how to take a beautiful picture, and after finishing the photo shoot, he walks away without saying a word. A little later, while waiting to go to the bathroom, Thomas discovers that Sebastian has cheated on his wife again. Pippa uses the distraction of people and installs a mirror behind one of the statues in the house, and they leave. Then Thomas reflects the laser light on the mirror. With the help of Pippa, he makes the necessary adjustments and they manage to hear the couple's voice. They are arguing because Juliet, the neighbor wife, discovered that Sebastian went to the bathroom with some girls and cheated on her. Tired of this repeated argument, Sebastian wants to end his relationship with Julia and divorce her. Julia tries to end the discussion and tells him this issue is no longer necessary and tries to calm him down, but Sebastian insults her, due to which her glasses break. The next day, at the ophthalmologist's office, Pippa finds out Julia has come to buy glasses, and Pippa has to guide Julia in choosing a new frame. During the eye test, Julia has trouble distinguishing letters. She examines her eyes with another device to ensure. After the test, and in the stage of choosing glasses, they become more intimate and have a good time with each other. While leaving, Julia asks Pippa to meet her again and asks for her number. Pippa agrees and Julia leaves the office. While working on his advertising projects, Thomas gets curious about what Sebastian says to his photography model. He adjusts his microphone to listen to and realizes that Sebastian is trying to seduce a model with his usual technique and doesn't succeed at first, but by insisting and promising extra money, he convinces the girl. Pippa explains what happened in the office and that wants to inform her neighbor's wife about the unhealthy relationship and what her husband doing when she is not around. Still, Thomas tells Pippa that this has nothing to do with them. They must focus on their relationship and to stop spying. Thomas asks Pippa to cancel her date with Julia, but Pippa refuses, which makes Thomas disappointed and he leaves the house. The weekend comes and Pippa and Julia go to the Santa Club. There, Pippa tries to indirectly understand her to avoid a relationship where there is betrayal. Julia tells her that she has owed everything she has in her life to her husband, and without him, she would fail in life. She praises Sebastian and considers him a successful person and a complete professional in his work, and she trusts him completely. Pippa has nothing to say or can't say. A little later, they part ways and go home. Now Pippa is in a relationship with these two people full time and is constantly sneaking around in their life. Pippa gets out of bed and after setting up the listening device, she realizes that Julia is awake and anonymously sends Julia a message containing Sebastian's betrayal. At first Julia doesn't believe it, but in the second mail, she tells Julia to check the trash bin for a condom. Thomas also notices what is going on and blames Pippa for her interference and considers it too much, but Pippa is determined to go further. Julia goes to trash can and realizes the truth. Then she goes to Sebastian's room with a knife as Pippa and Thomas are watching. A panicked Thomas tries to call the police, but Pippa disguises him because the police arrest them for spying. Finally, Julia cannot harm Sebastian and leaves the room. Thomas is very angry, smashes the camera. The following day, Thomas talks to Pippa and asks her to stop spying on the neighbor, and Pippa promises that after last night's dangerous incident, she won't touch that camera again and hug each other, but she realizes that something strange has happened in the neighbor's house. Julia has committed the unthinkable. Thomas, terrified, blames Pippa for this incident, packs his belongings, and ends his relationship with Pippa, leaving her alone. Pippa sleeps alone on the bed at night. The next night, she witnesses Sebastian's poor condition after his wife's death. When he gets out for a drink to the bar or some kind of place, something drives Pippa to go after him. Once there, Pippa watches him and Sebastian notices her presence and goes to talk to her. Pippa sympathizes and starts talking to calm him down. He doesn't know her, by the way. Sebastian asks Pippa to go to his house for drinks and take a snapshot as a model in his house. Once there, he pours Pippa a drink and asks her to attend his exhibition opening in the upcoming days. In his usual technique, Sebastian asks Pippa to pose for the camera to take her picture. After taking several photos, Sebastian asks Pippa to take off her clothes so he can take better pictures, telling her he is a professional and trusts him. Then Pippa, who is impressed by him, does as he says. After a few photos, they kiss and have a relationship. At the same time, Thomas goes to the house with a bucket of flowers. And when he doesn't find Pippa at home, he goes to the fridge and drinks his usual drink. He pours some of it for the birds. Thomas notices the new person present in Sebastian's house, and when he sees them with the camera, he realizes that Pippa is cheating on him. The following day, when Pippa wakes up in Sebastian's arms, she returns home and finds that Thomas is hanging from the ceiling and is dead. After this incident, Pippa spends a long time grieving Thomas' loss and considers herself entirely to blame for these events. Sometimes after, she sees Sebastian opening ceremony on Poster Street and decides to go there with her friend. At the opening ceremony, Sebastian thanks her for attending and asks her to enjoy it. Sebastian starts talking about his new project and invites the love of his life. In disbelief, Julia gets on the stage and she is wholly healthy. And it turns out that their new project is entirely related to Pippa and Thomas. Julia and Sebastian explains that Pippa and Thomas were illegally spying on them, unaware that the camera recorded all their moves in the house. Julia tells the audience the whole story of Pippa's life and considers her action as the main reason for Thomas' death. Pippa realizes that all their work is a trick and they take advantage of her, and she quickly leaves to Sebastian's place. She enters the attic room and realizes that they have recorded every moment of their presence in the house. Pippa crushes all the things and tears the pictures and cries. The next day, Pippa has to evacuate the house. She is packing up the house. After emptying the drink into the bird's water tank, she notices some dead birds under the window. After a few seconds, she sees Julia, who says goodbye. Sebastian and Julia interview a magazine about their idea to create a gallery of pictures of the neighbors who spy on their lives. At the end of the interview, Sebastian shows nervous behavior and leaves the magazine office. At home, after a drink, they talk about Sebastian's guilt. When Sebastian questions Julia about her lack of shame, Julia replies that she has no responsibility for Thomas' death. The printer starts printing paper again, and Pippa talks to them and says she knows everything and is sure that Thomas didn't end his own life, and instead they did it to him. Sebastian and Julia notices Pippa's presence and go after her to stop her. Pippa runs to her workplace and tries to prevent them from entering but fails. Pippa explains that she knows that Julia poisoned Thomas and made the crime by herself. Pippa says they played her and they are responsible for Thomas' death. Julia still tries to pretend innocent and considers this words as Pippa's hallucinations, but suddenly she faints. Pippa tells Sebastian that the ring was her gift and poisoned them, and asks Sebastian to look at her face one last time because it will be the last thing he is going to see. Pippa takes them under the machine and blinds them so that they will miss their next project and not be able to ruin someone else's life. The last scene of the movie, we see the couple are blind as Pippa is watching them.